At this time, it's my honour to introduce the head of the Japanese delegation, Ambassador Atsuko Nishimura. Ambassador Nishimura is Japan's ambassador in charge of women's issues and special assistant to the Foreign Minister of Japan. Ambassador Nishimura has had a distinguished career with Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, including a series of leadership positions in Europe, Tokyo, and the United States. She also served as Administrative Vice President of the Japan Foundation from 2008 to 2012, and is Senior Counsellor of JOGMEC, the Japan Oil, Gas and Metals National Corporation, from 2014 to 2016. Ambassador Nishimura, thank you so much for joining us.
I am Atsuko Nishimura, Ambassador in charge of women's issues of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan. It is a great honor for me to make a brief remark on the occasion of the Trilateral Summit on Women's Leadership in STEM. Japan, the United States, and the Republic of Korea have been forging cooperation in various fields, and one good example of such cooperation is the Trilateral Women's Empowerment Forum held in Washington, D.C. in September 2016. We had fruitful discussions on various issues relating women's empowerment at this forum, with participants from a wide range of sectors, including business, civil society, and young leaders. We believe that it is extremely pertinent that we continue our dialogue, and that the theme of this year's Trilateral meeting is focused on STEM fields in light of the current situation where the importance of advancing science and technology is being acutely recognized in face of the challenge posed by COVID-19. The importance of making good use of ICT is ever more increasing, and that should be realized with more active participation of women. In this context, we extremely appreciate this opportunity to discuss the way to realize our shared goal of women's empowerment in STEM fields, with participants from the world-leading ICT countries such as the United States and the Republic of Korea in the form of web seminar, which enables smooth dialogue and networking among participants despite our time differences and geographical distance. For Japanese government, to promote women's participation in STEM fields has been and is one of the priority issues as seen in our basic plan for gender equality. In the international scene, we have been making continuous efforts to shed light on this important issue in various important international conferences. For instance, at the G7 Iseshima Summit hosted by Japan in 2016, the importance of promoting gender mainstreaming in all policy areas was recognized, and there the particular emphasis was put on promotion of active role of women in STEM fields and careers. At last year's G20 Osaka Summit, hosted by Japan, G20 leaders committed to continuous support for girls and women's education, which include improvement of access to STEM education. Also on domestic front, we have been making a wide range of efforts and taking several concrete measures in this area for years. Our government has been supporting universities who are promoting the realization of enabling environment for women researchers to continue their research work through important life events such as childbirth and childrearing, and who are fostering female leaders in STEM fields through stepping up of their research abilities. Also, there has been a support program for individuals who wish to return to their research work after interruption due to childbirth or childrearing. Furthermore, Japan's Cabinet Office has been conducting an awareness-raising campaign by establishing a website which disseminates useful information on role models of women researchers, as well as on universities and private companies who promote women's participation in STEM fields. Through these efforts, the number of women participating in STEM fields in academia or in workplace has been slightly increasing, But we have to admit that the current result is far from satisfiable one. The percentage of female researchers in Japan was only 16.6% in 2019, and we believe that these numbers are lagging behind compared to those of the Republic of Korea and the United States. The percentage of female university students was 27.9% in science and 15.4% in engineering in 2019. And the data on the percentage of women recruited as researchers after finishing their education was less impressive. The percentage goes down to 17.5% in science and to 10.1% in engineering in 2016. This data clearly shows that in order to improve the situation, we have to continue and redouble our efforts in realizing an environment which provides more diversified choice of career for younger generation by changing stereotyped concept of gender role in all spheres, including a mindset of women themselves. We also need to strengthen support systems for women in STEM fields to pursue their careers through different life stages. If I may share with you my personal experience, to have an experience of changing my mindset through studying abroad helped me a lot to take a challenge to go into a diplomatic circle where we could not see many women at that time. Also, I believe that to have an environment where you can have a feeling of not only being fairly treated, but also of being encouraged to step up yourself in your career is crucial to pursue your mission. Now I'm pleased to witness that there is a growing recognition of the importance of making efforts to increase women's participation in all sections, including STEM-related ones, in private companies with whom I have a chance to work, in order to increase companies' values and to secure their sustainable development. Also, at the university where I have a chance to teach, I sense that with the younger generation who are more familiar with digital society regardless of gender, we may expect a favorable change in terms of women's participation in STEM fields. However, nothing can be taken for granted. Given all the persistent difficulties that we have been going through in women's empowerment, we should be constantly reminded that we have to tenaciously continue our efforts in promoting the active role of women in STEM fields, in order to advance women's empowerment in society as a whole, and also to advance science and technology with more diversified views and ideas. Before closing my remarks, I'd like to touch upon the issue of an impact brought by COVID-19 on women's situation in Japan. This unprecedented spreading of the pandemic has been posing many challenges in our society in many ways, and we have to be extremely cautious about serious impact on situations surrounding vulnerable people. With regard to the situation regarding employment and income, more women are negatively affected than men in workplace, as about 56% of working women are part-time employees, and as the sectors in which many women are working, such as restaurant, tourism, and other services sectors, have been severely damaged by COVID-19. From March to April, the number of employed women decreased by 700,000, which is approximately twice as much as that of men. On the other hand, we may regard this challenge as a chance to change our society and to make our society more inclusive one for women. In fact, the change of lifestyle by which we are obliged to use more online communication in order to avoid contact in person has been opening up new possibilities for both men and women in terms of a choice of work style. This rapid spreading of telework would allow us to work in more diversified and flexible manner, and this would contribute to inducing more favorable working environment for women. In the prospect that digitalization of our society will be increasingly accelerated, We need to enhance our efforts in developing human resources in STEM fields, and there women should not be left behind. Women's empowerment in the post-COVID-19 era should aim to build a better society and not to restore what we had before the pandemic. Together, we should make this challenge a turning point for a better society. In this context, we hope that this timely event would give us an opportunity to discuss and explore the ways to realize our shared goal of women's empowerment in STEM fields through exchange of views and comparing and learning experiences and good practices of 3 countries. We are looking forward to cooperating and working together with the United States and the Republic of Korea in our endeavor to achieve our goal. I wish you all a good continuation of discussions, and I thank you for your attention.
My name is Nancy Yuen, and I'm Senior Vice President of the Asia Foundation based in Washington, D.C. I'm pleased to add my welcome to all participants of the Trilateral Summit on Women's Leadership in STEM, featuring leaders from the United States, Korea, and Japan. The Asia Foundation has a long-standing commitment and program of support for women and girls in STEM, and we're delighted to host this virtual event in collaboration with the U.S. Department of State and the Monterey Institute of International Studies. As we've just heard from Jane Sloan and Ambassador Nishimura, supporting women to excel in STEM fields requires an enabling environment that actively supports and encourages girls in STEM education and women in the workforce. Today's panel discussion will delve even more deeply into these issues. One of the panels today will discuss how governments, companies, and academia can craft policies that encourage the advancement of women in STEM. We have seen how important such policies are in practice. In December 2019, an important bipartisan bill passed in the U.S. Congress that recognized the importance of STEM education, particularly for girls. The Building Blocks of STEM Act not only increases funds and opportunities for STEM education, but also aims to break down barriers to STEM education for girls. This is so important, for as we all know, many studies have shown that exposure to science and math help children to develop an interest and see possibilities for themselves in future work in STEM fields. We are fortunate today to hear remarks from 2 lead co-sponsors of the bill from the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. Senator Jacky Rosen of Nevada has worked tirelessly on legislation to expand opportunities for women in STEM. Given her own professional background as a computer programmer and systems analyst, Senator Rosen is committed to increasing exposure for more girls to STEM education and to opening up career opportunities in STEM fields where women remain underrepresented. Representative Jim Baird from Indiana holds an undergraduate degree and a PhD in the sciences and is a strong believer in the need for STEM education and expanded opportunities for women who can advance American business and national security interests by playing key roles in STEM fields. We're honored to have Senator Rosen and Representative Baird as participants in this Trilateral Summit and are pleased to hear from them now. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Senator Jacky Rosen, and I'm proud to represent the great state of Nevada in the United States Senate. I want to thank the Asia Foundation for hosting this event and for giving me the opportunity to speak on this critically important topic, women in STEM. I also want to thank the governments of Japan and South Korea for joining the United States for this trilateral event celebrating women's leadership in STEM fields. Promoting opportunities in STEM education is a cause that's deeply personal to me. Before I came to Congress, I was a computer programmer and a systems analyst. I worked in what's been long considered a male-dominated industry, and it wasn't easy. Back then, women had to struggle just to get considered for those positions. But in the United States, we've made progress since then, and today, brilliant women are at the height of achievement in science, technology, engineering, and math. And while I'm incredibly proud of what this new generation of women in tech are accomplishing, women make up nearly half the U.S. workforce, but they still only hold less than 1/4 of STEM jobs. This STEM gender disparity is holding us back, and it's preventing talented minds from inventing the next breakthrough technology, founding the next startup, or keeping our nation safe from cyber attacks. That's why I'm so passionate about giving women, particularly young girls, more opportunities to get involved in STEM, in careers like coding and engineering, and so many more. This way they can build a better future for themselves and for all of us. So I've made it my priority as a senator to promote STEM education for our children, and especially for our young girls. I believe in creating a more inclusive environment and a level playing field. And I fought for technological innovation in our schools and in our workforce as a member of the committee that oversees education, labor, and science. The most important investment we can make is in our children's education. That's why last year I introduced the bipartisan Building Blocks of STEM Act, legislation that will help ensure our children are prepared with the education necessary to succeed in a 21st century economy and taking steps to close the gender gap in STEM. This bill will direct the National Science Foundation to expand funding for early childhood STEM education programs, and it would fund grant programs to get more young girls interested in computer science. If we're going to lead the world in creating an economy of the future, then we must break through the barriers that are holding us back from reaching our full potential. And on that note, I'm proud to say to you that my Building Blocks of STEM Act is now law in the United States. Helping to build the people pipeline, a well-trained and highly skilled workforce is one of my top priorities, and that requires girls and women having equal opportunities to enter and advance in STEM-related careers. While the United States, Japan, and Korea have made great strides in advancing women's leadership in STEM fields, much work remains to be done. Studies show that in developing countries, women are vastly underrepresented in the information and communications technology sector due to the lack of access to STEM training. Investing in women and girls to ensure they learn the skills needed to participate in the growing digital economy will not only improve their own financial agency, but also help nations thrive economically. Together, our nation's investments to close the global STEM gender gap will lead to more innovation, and innovation leads to solutions to our planet's biggest challenges. So let's work together across nations and borders to invest in girls and women to expand the next generation of scientists, engineers, coders, and leaders. Thank you.
It is an honor to join my distinguished colleagues today in taking this opportunity to speak before you all as a proud original sponsor to the Building Blocks of STEM Act. This important bipartisan legislation was signed into law by President Trump on December 24th, 2019, and I am proud to have played an important role in this accomplishment. As one of my two members of the House of Representatives with a PhD in science, I understand the importance of early childhood development, and equally important is a focus on ensuring a wide knowledge base in our society. Improvements in early childhood development and broadening our nation's knowledge base both stand to benefit from a diverse range of perspectives and backgrounds. Our national security and scientific advancements are made stronger when everyone is involved, and yet only 24% of the current workforce in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics careers are women. Undertaking any effort to affect change has to start with a thorough understanding of the problem. Our nation will be made stronger by ensuring more women contribute to our STEM knowledge base. The Building Blocks of STEM Act will be pivotal in identifying the underlying causes of this disparity by directing the National Science Foundation to research factors that influence young women's engagement in STEM and computer science activities. My district in particular is a proud example of the accomplishments and the benefits of strong, bright women leaders in STEM and computer science. Last year, I was honored to welcome Dr. Katie Bauman to a hearing of the full Science, Space, and Technology Committee to hear her testimony of the diverse team she worked with to develop the first ever images of the black hole. In her testimony, Dr. Bauman explained that the group that she worked with divided into 4 teams of scientists from all around the world to independently reproduce the image of the black hole. Each team's images were roughly similar and shared important characteristics that were crucial to the confidence of Dr. Bauman's team to validate the results of her work. The thorough and impressive process Dr. Bauman devised was the culmination of a life spent in STEM and computer science that started at a young age. As the daughter of Dr. Charles Bauman, a distinguished professor of electrical and computer engineering and biomedical engineering at Purdue University, Dr. Bauman was exposed to STEM topics and resources early in life. This exposure piqued an interest in science and research that was further nurtured by the willingness of Purdue professors to encourage her interest and provide an environment for Dr. Bauman to conduct imaging research in high school. This breakthrough and accomplishment stands as a testament to the capacity for more diverse early childhood STEM education to contribute to our knowledge base and our national security. The process used by Dr. Bauman incorporate machine learning and artificial intelligence that provide an unprecedented implications for medical and materials imaging. Countless other fields stand to benefit from Dr. Bauman's work. Similar advancements and discoveries will come in greater quantity and quality with more women in STEM and computer science. To accomplish this, we need to know more about what factors may encourage an inclination towards STEM topics in an early childhood years. I am proud that the Building Blocks of STEM Act will provide this greater understanding, and I'm eager to see what findings this important work presents. I encourage you all to seek out ways in which the team you work with benefits from strategically broadening the perspective at your disposal. And I look forward to the conversations to follow in this important undertaking. Thank you.